The beheadings of Goliath and Laban were not the simple disposing of an enemy. They were ritual executions. Both David and Nephi were commanded or constrained by God to take the lives of their victims and to do so by decapitation. David openly proclaimed that he intended to cut off Goliath's head and that the Lord had promised him that Goliath would be delivered into his hands for that very purpose. Nephi preferred not to take Laban's life, but was told 3 separate times to kill him. When he finally relented, Nephi smote off the head of Laban in direct obedience to the voice of the Spirit. The Spirit had directed Nephi to cut off Laban's head. Beheading as a form of capital punishment has a long and extensive history. In fact, the very term capital punishment refers to death by beheading. Like all ancient forms of capital punishment, beheading was performed in imitation of a heavenly precedent. The head of Goliath was cut off by David in imitation of the decapitation of the giant by the hero. So too was Laban. The principle, as in all things in ancient sacred culture, was as above, so below. The Lord uses the same principle in governing his kingdom on earth. The hero beheaded the giant or monster who threatened the sacred kingdom. In like manner, the heroes David and Nephi beheaded Goliath and Laban as the required execution for a usurper who attempted to seize power or defy the kingdom of God on earth. Mythic heroes and kings were often assisted with magical gifts from the gods. We have already noted the cap of Hades, which gave Perseus invisibility, and King Arthur's magical sword Excalibur. When first unsheathed, Excalibur shone so brightly it blinded Arthur's enemies. Objects of all types possess supernatural attributes. There was all manner of magical weaponry, clothing, jewelry, stones and gems, plants and herbs, cups and chalices, and much more. The list of magical gifts from the gods is near endless. Sometimes the gods gave multiple gifts to a single hero or king. Perseus was given a sword, helmet, winged sandals, a polished shield, and a knapsack, all possessing magical qualities. The Irish hero Lugh had several magical possessions given him by the sea god Manannán mac Lir. The gifts included a living and bloodthirsty spear, a horse named Enbar that could traverse both land and sea, and a self-sailing boat. These heroes, kings, and magical objects, of course, are not real. They are merely symbolic representations of the planets of the polar configuration. But they do point to very real supernatural gifts from God to his servants, especially those who would serve as the kings of the kingdom of God on earth. The regalia of the kingdom of God on earth serve as emblems of authority. They also possess unique and intended magical properties. The Liahona was a ball of curious design made by God and left in front of Lehi's tent as a gift. The name describes it as a compass. But the Liahona was not a compass in the conventional sense. Like Jack Sparrow's compass, which did not point north but pointed in the direction of what one desired most, the Liahona did not point north, but pointed in the direction provided by the Lord to those who exercised faith. The device was also called a director, which is more descriptive of its function. The director pointed out the directions given by the Lord to assist Lehi and his family in their journeys to the Promised Land. The magical ball assisted the youthful hero Nephi in finding game to feed the family. The Liahona directed Lehi's family to the most fertile parts of the wilderness, ensuring their survival. The ability of the Liahona to guide Lehi's family in specific directions designated by the Lord and activated by faith can only be considered supernatural, or in its fundamental meaning, magical. These are not the workings of a device within the conventional physics of modern science. The Lord himself called the director miraculous.